Welcome to another video for the All Takes No Whiffs podcast, our first baseball video of 2023. We are going to be recapping basically all these signings that have been going on throughout the past couple weeks. We're going to be picking up for where we left off, and there have been some really notable signings this offseason. There's one player who has signed 3 different deals, and he's finally gotten his deal to go through, and we'll be going through that. But I'm really looking forward to this video. Christian, what are your initial thoughts on this?
My initial thoughts, there's one franchise in here that I'm not preying on their downfall completely because they've already been through a lot, but they got something that little bright spot. I
A
feel
little
like I feel
hope.
like
A
anybody
little
who's been
hope.
yeah, I feel like anybody who's watched the past two videos us discussing this offseason, they know who I'm talking about. But yeah, we'll get into it and you guys will know when. To pick back up where we left off, we are going to start off with a team that has been through a lot this offseason. I feel for their fans, but the San Francisco Giants, they made a couple of moves, decent moves. They picked up left-handed pitcher Sean Manaea on a 2-year, $25 million deal. I personally think Sean Manaea is a solid arm. I don't think he's any like a plus, but I think he's definitely like a middle of the rotation to back end of the rotation guy that will definitely hold his position there. He's going to have solid outings. And it's a solid pickup for San Francisco, even though, they're down bad right now.
Yeah, they're kind of down bad after the whole Aaron Judge fiasco, but they've honestly made a lot of solid signings that have
Mm-hmm.
made this team a lot better. They made the playoffs 2 years ago, last year. I mean, they had a pretty good year. It's just that, I mean, the league's just gotten so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do like this signing for them. I'm pretty sure they lost Alex Wood, who is a left-handed pitcher, so this is just replacing him. They did lose a huge left-handed pitcher in that rotation in Carlos Rendon to your Yankees, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I really like this signing. He's a solid guy. I don't think he threw a no-hitter last year, but he went 7 innings and got pulled after no he hadn't allowed up a hit. So I mean, this guy, he's very solid, but he does have those blow up games at sometimes where he's just gonna get hit and shelled. So
Yeah.
Sean Manaea has been a solid pitcher for the past couple years. Really blossomed out there in Oklahoma before he's Oklahoma in Oakland. I don't know why I said Oklahoma. Jesus,
Hey,
there's not even a baseball team in Oklahoma,
it's
but
close. It's
it's
close.
close enough. But yeah, this is just a solid signing for San Francisco and should kind of settle that rotation a little bit after losing a couple people.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, adding another left-handed pitcher to their bullpen in Taylor Rogers, that's another solid move in my opinion. Alex just told me this. I didn't know this beforehand. He's joining his brother in the bullpen, and his brother,
Tyler Rogers.
yeah, like nice creativity, parents. Just messing, just messing. You raised 2 professional baseball players. I think that's a dub in itself. But another solid left-handed pitcher to add to this team. It's definitely going to be a key piece in the bullpen. My only thing is, when it comes to key pieces for the Giants, yeah, they could contribute to their success, but they share a division with the Dodgers and Padres at the end of the day. So it's like even with all of these moves, I'm a bit up in the air about the Giants, but they're making the right moves. So that's definitely something I want to give them credit for.
No, yeah, definitely making the right moves. And I'm going to add another team to that that's been had a really good offseason. Arizona Diamondbacks have made some really good moves this offseason that have probably people don't. I don't really know what to say. They're probably just underrated. Um,
Yeah.
we'll get into that a little later, but I mean, I'm just gonna add that team to this because they did have a solid year last year, but Taylor Rogers is a huge pickup for them. They have a guy who is becoming kind of an elite closer. He was a rookie last year or the year before. I can't remember last. And Camilo Doval. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right. I'm sorry if I didn't, but so I'm not sure where he's going to be ending up in this bullpen. I would probably assume in the setup role, but this is a good signing for them. He's like Christian said, he's joining his brother, who is actually his identical twin brother. So it's kind of hard to separate them. They're both left-handed pitchers too, and there's one letter difference in their name. So, like Christian said, great creativity for your parents. But yeah, this is a really good signing for them, and they signed another outfielder this offseason in Michael Conforto. Michael Conforto is coming off injury. He didn't play at all in 2022. He got injured late in 2021, which was kind of tragic because he was having a really good season at that time. But this is a guy who I kind of have had not a lot of high hopes on because he was on the New York Mets, but who I really liked. He's a solid left-handed hitter. He's got a lot of pop. He's got more pop than average. He's got a decent glove too, but I'm excited to see this guy get a pretty solid deal. To be honest, coming off injury, this is really good. 2 years, 36 million, 18 a year.
Mhm.
Really good deal for him.
Oh, for sure. And I have my opinions on Conforto. Yeah, I do see his pieces, like his pluses in his game. Consistency was a big thing for me with Conforto, but maybe a fresh start with the new team after a bit of a struggle, I guess, like in his past year, dealing with injury. This fresh start right here could be huge for him. So I this could be a big plus for the Giants, in my opinion. I'm not going to say there's big risk to it because it's not like this is like they threw him a crazy bag. But yeah, Conforto to the Giants, I think it's a solid move for sure.
And they bolstered that outfield pretty good compared to what they had last year. I know the guy Aaron Judge fiasco sucks, but I mean, you added players like Mitch Haniger and Jock Peterson staying, and then you also add Michael Conforto. Those three guys may add up to what Aaron Judge hits in total of home runs next year, but no, they actually won't because Mitch Haniger can hit 40 on his own.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a solid outfield. Defense may not be very good, but that there's going to be some power in that defense in that lineup.
Yeah, for sure. And to move on to one of their division, I don't want to say rivals, but a team that is ahead of them in the division for sure. You got the San Diego Padres making a couple of moves, and to start it off, they signed Matt Carpenter from my Yankees, who was he was Babe Ruth for a second there.
He really was.
Yeah, and yeah, I think this is a solid signing for the Padres. It's relatively cheap. Matt Carpenter is a vet through and through. Um, I don't know what his role would be with the Padres, to be honest. I'm assuming he's not starting. Definitely a solid bat off the bench like he was for us. I'm just hoping it doesn't work against us. Like, say that we meet them in the World Series, even though the chances of that are slim, and he goes off against us. I don't want to see that, but I do want to see Matt Carpenter have success for sure.
Yeah, I'm just happy to see Matt Carpenter in the league still, to be honest.
Hmm.
I know about, I think 2 years ago when he left the St. Louis Cardinals, everyone thought his career was wrapped up.
Hmm.
That's not the case. We saw last year before he broke his foot that he had an absolutely insane run with y'all.
Hmm.
And to go off what you said, from what I've been reading and stuff, his role is pretty much super utility. He is going to fill in wherever he is needed. I know I have DH on here because that's probably what he's mainly going to be.
Hmm.
But he's going to fill in wherever he's needed. He can play third, he can play second, he can play first, and he got a little taste of right field last year. So they may throw him out there in right field until Tatis can come back because I think Tatis is going to play left or right field, wherever
Hmm.
Soto doesn't play. I would assume Soto stays in right. But yeah, I mean, this is a really, really solid signing. It bolsters their depth a lot. Padres are going to be a problem next year. I mean, I hate to say that, especially since I got in a little beef with some Padres fans last month. So I'm excited for this division, to be honest. Padres may be creeping up there on the Dodgers for the best team in the NL West.
Yeah, very possible. It's just based off of some history. I feel like the Dodgers have had their number, but things can definitely change. Another solid signing for the Padres, though, they added Seth Lugo to the bullpen on a 2-year, $15 million deal. I think this is really solid. Seth Lugo, he was never really elite, but he was a plus arm for the Mets at one point. I don't know if he's regressed much since then, but Excuse my dog behind me. Um, yeah, Seth Lugo, I feel like if he's coming back and still, I guess, relatively solid, this is a nice, solid arm for San Diego.
Yeah, this is definitely a nice solid arm that replaces Taylor Rogers out there. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be in the bullpen. I know he's had some time as a starter with the Mets, but then they transferred him to the bullpen and was a closer before Edwin Diaz got there and then went to the setup role. But he's one of those guys who can give you multiple innings out of the bullpen, which is
Mm.
probably what he's going to be doing here. Like, could be that long reliever guy, or he could be that setup guy for one inning because this guy has a nasty curveball. I'm not going to lie. It's just that can he control it? That's the thing.
Mm.
If he can get that control of it, I mean, this is a really solid pitcher. And I've never really been too big of a fan of Seth Lugo. Maybe some of my Braves bias, and also because he's been a Met. But I do remember him pitching in the World Baseball Classic for the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. I can't remember which one it was, but he looked really solid then, and that's really, really where I think he came out and broke out. And then that next season with the Mets, he really broke out. So, um, kind of just saying that because I'm kind of trying to get the World Baseball Classic hype up because it's starting
Oh
up here
yeah,
in 2 months, and I'm so excited for that. But Seth Lugo is definitely a solid signing for the Padres.
yeah, no doubt. And I'm glad you brought up the World Baseball Classic because I'm trying to see DR do it again. It's been some time,
U.S. about to go back to back.
bro. The U.S. is stacked.
Yeah, I mean the U.S. roster compared to what it was whenever the last World Baseball Classic was 4 years ago, it's twice as better as what it
Yeah.
was then. I mean, we had people like Adam Jones, Ian Kinsler then. I mean, we got people like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. We got the best of the best this year, and it's exactly what everyone wants to see. I mean, Dominican Republic lineup is freaking stacked, and your
Mm,
boy Jeremy Pena may not even be starting.
yeah. It's wild. It's wild, man. All I know is that this World Baseball Classic is going to be historic coming up. Uh, it. I love the World Baseball Classic. To be honest, I might have to buy
It's
a Dominican
underrated.
Republic. Might have to buy a Dominican Republic hat just for that. I'm looking forward to that. But let's get back to this offseason signings before we get too ahead of
Too
ourselves because
sidetracked. Too
we could
sidetracked. We
yeah
could
we
talk
could
about
we
that for a whole episode.
exactly. Exactly. But as for another move this offseason, you had the Baltimore Orioles making a trade for a catcher. They picked up James McCann from the Mets for cash considerations and a player to be named TBA. But this is a solid move for Baltimore, in my opinion. Obviously, James McCann is not going to get too much burn for them. They got Adley Rutschman, who is the future of catchers, to be honest with you. I don't want to gas him up too much, but he's like that. But James McCann, he's going to be there for when Adley needs rest. And I think that's a very solid move from Baltimore. And it's good
Mhm.
to see Baltimore making moves towards success because that hasn't been the case for quite a while.
No, it hasn't. I know everyone was scratching their head at the trade deadline when they traded Trey Mancini away because they thought that was a guy who was going to be there forever and had a great story coming back from cancer and everything. But
Mm.
like you said, I mean, Baltimore Orioles making some solid moves this offseason. They've signed Kyle Gibson. He's also a solid starting pitcher to their rotation.
Mm.
Um, James McCann, I mean, this dude is just solid defensively. He's not crazy with the bat, but the defense is there. And that's probably honestly why they traded for him because Adley Rutschman is definitely going to need a break here and there. When you put Adley at DH, you can put James McCann in there at catcher. So this is a really good trade for them. He wasn't going to play with New York since they have Alvarez up now. They're one of their top prospects, who I think is not that good. But we will talk about that some other time. But I'm not sure if they've named the player yet for this deal. This trade was about a week or two ago, I think. So they could have figured out who they are sending over to New York. But I mean, I don't think that player is going to probably make too much of a difference, to be honest.
Yeah, that's just the truth.
It's going to be a
If
prospect, whoever it is.
Yeah, and usually when it's like a player to be named later, it's not really a highly
Yeah.
touted prospect. That
Yeah.
that that's how it is usually. But solid move from Baltimore. I'm glad to see that. Uh, speaking of teams that have not had success recently, but little different than Baltimore's case because I think Baltimore is trying to get there. Yet the Cincinnati Reds signing Will Myers to a 1-year deal. Um, Will Myers is definitely a recognizable name. Came up with the Rays, had a solid tenure with the Padres too, and now he's with Cincinnati. And Alex told me this in a conversation. He's probably not going to be there for a while.
I don't see him being there after the trade deadline.
I feel that because Will Myers is definitely one of those guys. He's not like a star or anything like that, but he's borderline like of an impact player. And teams down the stretch, when they're trying to make a playoff push or when they feel like they need to add another piece for their playoff run, Will Myers is going to be one of those names floating around for sure. I see that.
Yeah, and Cincinnati Reds just, I mean, they're not that good either. They're kind of, I mean, they've been rebuilding for years now. I feel bad for Joey Votto because he spent his entire career with a not so great team.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, this is a solid signing for them. Maybe he'll produce for them. I mean, we did see the Reds last year. Actually, I think they were leading their division through the first month, but then fell off a cliff after that. And they got two teams in front of them in the Brewers and the Cardinals, who have bolstered their rosters too. And even the Cubs look a lot better this year too. So, or will look a lot better. So, I don't see Will Myers being on this team after the All-Star break. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, this is a solid signing though. I really like Will Myers. He won Rookie of the Year back whenever he was a rookie. I don't know what year it was, and I've actually gotten to shake Will Myers' hand, so that's kind of cool. I played against his little brother in a perfect game tournament, and he was helping coach. So that's just a cool little fact I'd like to put out there.
I feel that. As for another move this offseason so far, we're going back to a trade and the Toronto Blue Jays back in the mix. This was a pretty big trade, actually. They picked up Dalton Varsho from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they gave up top catching prospect Gabriel Moreno, who I've heard a lot of about him. He's
Stud.
definitely, yeah. And they also gave up Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Was not expecting that. Kind of along the lines of Teoscar Hernandez, in my opinion on that. I thought he was going to be not a central piece, but like one of those complementing pieces to their core that was going to be there for a while, but I guess not. But at the same time, Dalton Varsho is a really solid pickup for them.
Yeah, I really like this trade. Toronto Blue Jays have been super active this offseason, especially in trades. And I mean, this outfield's something to isn't something to mess with. Defensively, this may be the best outfield in all of baseball with George Springer, Kevin Kiermaier, and Dalton Varsho now. Kevin Kiermaier, arguably the best defensive center fielder for the past since he's been in the league,
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And then George Springer, we all know what George Springer has done. And the fact that he's moving to right field now, I think is going to benefit him so much because that's his natural position and he doesn't have to cover that much room. And then throw out Darton Varsho out there in left field. I mean, this dude, he had a breakout year last year. He does have catcher on there. He did come up as a catcher, but I think Alejandro Kirk has got that locked up after his All-Star season last year. I really like what this Toronto Blue Jays team is doing. I know you may not because they're
No, I
in your
like it.
division, but I still think that the Yankees are got a little slight advantage over y'all, definitely in the pitching department for starting rotation. But like I was saying earlier, Arizona Diamondbacks are making some solid moves. I mean, losing Dalton Varsho kind of does hurt, but you gained the absolute best catching prospect in the league right now and a solid outfielder. I mean, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., solid all around. Defense is his worst aspect of his game, but this dude can play.
Yeah, for sure. And then on top of that, picking up Kyle Lewis from the Mariners, that was another sneaky move. The
Mm-hmm.
Diamondbacks they're making moves, like you said. They might not be an abomination going into this season, but we just got to wait and see. Speaking on the Diamondbacks, though, as we have been, the Diamondbacks picked up a solid vet. I don't know. I wouldn't say he's solid, I guess, with where he's at in his career, but solid name for sure. They picked up Evan Longoria on a 1-year deal, and this could pan out well. We know what Longoria is capable of. It's just that he's older now, twilight part of his career. This can go one of two ways. To be honest with you, it could either go really well, exceeding expectations, or just bad. I I don't really know what else to say, but it's good to see Evan Longoria in the league still. As you said about Matt Carpenter earlier, I feel the same way.
Yeah, Evan Longoria is one of my favorite players watching growing up.
Mm-hmm.
He was on that, I think it was 2008 Rays team that made the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
He was Rookie of the Year that year, I'm pretty sure too. That honestly, that was a wild way that whole season ended. First off, I don't want to get too much into it, but I mean,
Yeah.
I remember Boston didn't make the playoffs because Orioles made a sliding catch in the outfield and threw Carl Crawford out at home. How am
Mm-hmm.
I even remembering this right now? I don't even know. But I just remember that. But I really like this signing for Arizona. This is just a vet who's probably going to just mentor all these young guys that they have on this team. He's coming off a injury-riddled season, so maybe he can stay a little more healthy. And he's got some pretty good incentives in this contract from when I looked up. From what I looked up, so that $4 million could turn into about I think 8 to 12 somewhere around there. So he's got some. If he has a good season, he could be making some pretty good money. I mean, $4 million is a lot of money still, but
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would take a $4 million deal. I don't know
I
about you.
100% would do. I would take a $1 million deal.
Take a $5. No,
I don't know about five.
not five. But
Maybe a biggie bag five.
give me a biggie bag from Wendy's, and I'll give you my all. Yeah. But yeah, solid move from Arizona. I'm liking what I'm seeing from them so far this offseason. And as for this next team, this is a really solid move because they've been bolstering their pitching rotation, obviously by picking up the best pitcher in the world earlier on in Jacob deGrom. But the Texas Rangers went ahead and added Nathan Eovaldi on a 2-year deal. This is a really solid deal because Eovaldi, I personally think he's nasty, even though he's a former Red Sox. The reason I think he's nasty is because he did his thing against us, I will admit. He's got nasty stuff. He throws hard. I feel like he's got solid off speed. This is just a solid piece in the rotation for sure, and a better signing than Andrew Haney.
Yeah, I
Sorry to let
really.
off the shot. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Andrew Haney. I know you have your differences with him. But I do like this signing for Texas. Nathan Eovaldi, solid pitcher. Helped the Red Sox win a World Series, and I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
Was a very big piece, actually, of that bullpen, not the starting rotation, for that playoff run. But really like Nathan Eovaldi and his stuff. This is a really, really good rotation, honestly, now. Led by Jacob deGrom. You got Evaldi, Haney, John Gray, and then you got a couple prospects that they could call up eventually. So this is going to be a team I really wouldn't say that is going to be to reckon with. The Houston Astros are still the cream of the crop of that division, but
Mhm.
it's definitely going to make that division a lot more interesting, especially now that Seattle is rising too.
Oh yeah, I feel it, and it'd be good to see Texas in the mix because they've got some names that I would love to see in the playoffs. Corey Seager, playoff legend for sure.
Oh my God. Don't
Yeah.
even get me started with him against the Braves 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Home
Mm,
absolutely destroyed us.
yeah, Corey Seager in the playoffs. It's like Correa
Different
esque.
ball player. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
And
Marcus
he's already
Simeon.
really good too. This is the thing.
Yeah, and then Marcus Simeon too. I would love to see him in the mix in the
hmm
playoffs. I know he struggled a little bit for Texas last year, but I feel like he caught his stride towards the end.
hmm
I would love to see him have some success too because I think Marcus Simeon is nasty. I love his game. But Texas, we could be seeing them in the mix. At the same time, it could go like last year where they caught fire a little too late. Hope not though. I'd like to see them in the mix because it's been a while since the Rangers were the Rangers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the thing with that, I think if Jacob deGrom can stay healthy, I mean, this dude has not been healthy the past 2 years. So if he can stay healthy and he can pitch 25 to 30 games this year, I think Texas will be in a different state than they were last year.
For sure. That's for sure. A team that they were interesting in 2020. Somehow made the postseason when nobody expected them to.
60 game season.
Yeah, not much to take serious, but they're making solid moves. Now that Jeter's gone, I think they're progressing towards trying to get better. I don't know what he was doing with them, but the Miami Marlins they picked up second baseman Gene Segura on a 2-year deal. This is a solid move in my opinion because I think Segura is underrated. He was a real solid piece for Philly. Not one of those standout pieces, but somebody who's they're going to go out every day and play their heart out. That's how I feel about Gene Segura, and I don't know what this is going to contribute towards for the Marlins. Like I don't know if they're hoping to have a playoff push in a full season. I don't know, but maybe. And I think this is a solid signing overall for them for sure.
Good signing for them, but I don't see Miami doing anything. I mean, you got the Mets coming off a 100-win season, made their team even better. You have the Braves coming off a 100-win season, made their team even better. And then you also have the Philadelphia Phillies, the reigning NL champs.
Mm-hmm.
They made their team even better. Yeah, I just don't see Miami. I mean, I think these three teams, they're going to have their way with Miami and Washington this year, DC. It's going to be pretty ugly. The only reason why I can see Miami really being pretty good this year is because of that starting rotation. We'll get into that with the next signing too, but Gene Segura, a solid player, honestly, had a really good playoff run for Philly. Kind of fizzled out there in the World Series. I know in the NLCS, he had a freaking great NLCS, to be honest. But Gene Segura is kind of on the later half of his career.
Yeah.
He's been around the league too. I think he started out in Milwaukee. It was either Milwaukee or Arizona. I can't remember, but I know he's been on Milwaukee. He's been on Arizona. He's been on Seattle, and now he's been on Philly, and now he's on the Miami Marlins. So, dude's been around the league. Don't know what position he's going to play. I put second base because that's what I assume. If they put him at
Jazz.
shortstop, yeah, but if they put him at shortstop, dude's not a shortstop. I know
Yeah.
that's what he came up as, but his defense is awful.
Yeah. I feel that. Interesting dynamic right there. We'll see what Miami does though, and yeah, even though Miami made this move, it's not like they're going to be in the mix. But
No, this
solid
could
move.
be this could be a trade piece too. Actually, now that I think
True.
about it.
Yeah, true for sure. Will Myers vibes. I feel that.
Hmm.
But another move that they made, as you mentioned, boosting their rotation a little. They picked up veteran Johnny Cueto on a 1-year deal, and to be honest, Johnny Cueto still a solid arm at this point of his career. I'm not doesn't throw very hard, and I'll say that for sure. But he's still got some funky stuff, and he's still got that creativity with his pitching windup. Solid move, appropriate signing for the Marlins. It's not like they're gonna pick up like a top pitcher, but solid move. I don't have too much to add to this, but decent move for the Marlins.
It's a decent move. He pitched really good for the White Sox last year. It actually really surprised a bunch of people. His strikeouts are not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally strictly all contact. Really good ground ball pitcher though, and I think one thing that's really keeping him in the league and that's really throwing hitters off is like what you said, that funky windup he has. He doesn't do the same thing every time. He jerks around, wiggles. I mean, everything. I mean, it's really awkward. I mean, as a hitter, that definitely would throw off my timing. So I can see why he's still having some success in the league, but this is a really solid pitcher to a really solid rotation already. I mean, you have Sandy Alcantara, you have Pablo Lopez, who has been in trade talks for since the trade deadline last year, but you add him into someone like Yuri Perez and Edward Cabrera too. I mean, this could be a really good rotation, and honestly, could give teams like the Braves, Mets, and Phillies a fit. Who could sneak out a game or two in each series just because that pitching is so good.
Yeah, that's true. Marlins are about to be a little bug, a little thorn in the I guess in the backs of the solid teams of the NL East, but at the same time, nah. Like your Braves,
They still got to score runs, and I don't see that
yeah.
lineup scoring much.
Mm-mm. But yeah, as for the Marlins, they made those moves, and as for the defending NL champs, the Philadelphia Phillies have made a couple of moves. And this first trade right
Great
here,
move.
great move because their bullpen has been their glaring issue for a couple of years now. And they picked up left-handed pitcher Gregory Soto. Also picked up Roger Clemens' son, Cody Clemens. They made this trade with the Tigers. The Tigers got back some pieces that I feel like won't
Eh,
pan out.
eh.
But Gregory Soto, real solid arm. Pretty sure he's a 2-time All-Star now. But this guy throws gas from the left side, and his stuff is kind of funky. He's got a nice sinker. I feel like Soto is about to be a huge piece for the Phillies because, yeah, the bullpen, even though they made the World Series last year, they still had a lot of room to improve their bullpen, in my opinion.
As much as I don't want to admit it, this is a super, super good move for Philadelphia. Gregory Soto has been one of the bright points for the Detroit Tigers the past 2 seasons. They haven't had much to cheer about, but this guy is been really good for them. Has electric stuff. Got a high 90s fastball, high 90s sinker, which it can be a problem to a lot of people. And like Christian said, this bullpen has been awful, 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 awful the past few years. This past postseason was not the same story as it has been in the regular season the past few years. They found some magic and were able to figure it out, but a lot of the people that they've added to their bullpen this offseason, have been really good, and I'm not looking forward to playing them, but I am looking forward to seeing how much this bullpen is going to be better than the past couple of years. And picking up a prospect like Cody Clemens is pretty good. He's a pretty good hitter, but I don't think that was the big part of this trade. Getting Gregory Soto is A++ for them.
Without a doubt. And another bullpen move that the Philadelphia Phillies made, they signed Braves legend, I guess you could say. They picked up Craig Kimbrell on a 1-year deal. Kimbrell he's had an interesting career, to be honest with you, from peak dominance to falling off the map, thinking that he was about to be out of the league, to kind of a resurgence with the Cubs, and the Red Sox. He was solid for them. It's interesting to see him still in the mix. He's still got things to offer, I feel like, but he's not what he used to be. Uh, Solid signing for the Phillies, though. I just wonder what kind of role he would have in the bullpen.
Yeah, this is a really interesting signing, to be honest. Craig Kimbrell is not what he used to be. Since he's been traded from the Braves, really hasn't been the best closer. He was for the Red Sox for a year or two. Struggled with Chicago Cubs at the end of his tenure there,
Mm.
which really made everyone think that this dude may be on the decline. But last year he kind of picked it up a little more. He did have some sketchy outings here and there, but I mean, this is still one of the best closers that we've ever seen in the history of baseball. I wouldn't put him in the top 5 quite yet, but if he can have kind of a resurgence, have another dominant year, if Philly can do what they did last year, and he can have, I don't even honestly, I don't think he's even going to be the closer for them now
Yeah.
that I think about it, because just of how he's been the past few years and stuff. But this is a good signing for them. Their bullpen is deep now, and it wasn't like that before the offseason started.
Mm-mm. Philly addressing the issues that they needed to after making it to the World Series. That's a solid sign, in my opinion. And then you
Hmm.
got Bryce Harper being fully healthy, too. I think things could go really well for them.
They won't get Bryce Harper back
Yeah.
until the All-Star break, though, which will kinda suck, but, I mean,
Yeah.
they have a pretty deep roster.
That second half push, though, if he shows up right on time for that and he's playing like he has been, things could get real interesting in that second half push for Philly with Bryce Harper returning. So, we've got that to look forward to. I'm looking forward to that. But to keep it in Pennsylvania, the team that is a little less relevant. I'm kidding. They're not relevant at all, really. But the Pittsburgh Pirates, they picked up left-handed pitcher Rich Hill on a 1-year deal. This guy is about 70 years old, and he's still in the league, so good for him. I don't have too much to say other than this is a good signing for Rich Hill, more so than the Pirates, because,
Gets another check.
yeah, Rich Hill's he's a vet, and he's getting the bag. I'm glad to see it. And he's a left-handed pitcher. My bias is kicking in. It doesn't always kick in though. Little side note, because you know how I feel about Andrew Haney. But
Exactly.
yeah, you got to be a certain level of different if you make me hate you as a left-handed pitcher. But regardless of that, I don't have too much to say. Rich Hill is going to lead the Pittsburgh Pirates to a lottery pick.
Yeah, he might, honestly, but this is another Will Myers situation where
Mm,
if Rich Hill has a good season, I can see him being traded onto a team that needs a left-handed pitcher, not just a starting pitcher, but like a left-handed pitcher, because I could see him being a bullpen guy for someone too. Rich Hill, like Christian said, is 900 years old. He's been in the league for forever. He's not really. He's 43, I think, or turns 43 during the season or something. But dude's been around for a while. Honestly, didn't expect him to be in the league still. Bounced around on, I think, I've probably been on about half the teams in the league now that I think about it. But this is a good signing for them. He could mentor some of those young pitchers that they have in that staff, especially some of those young players too, like O'Neal Cruz. But solid signing.
for a
Don't know if
not
he's
solid.
gonna. Yeah, not for a not solid team, but don't know if he's gonna be there the entire year. But good deal for him. $8 million, not bad.
Feel that. Yeah, for sure. But a team that's made some moves, they picked up a Braves legend. I'm kidding. Dansby was a solid piece for you guys, but the Chicago Cubs, they picked up Eric Hosmer on a deal. This one's interesting because Eric Hosmer is still owed a bag from the San Diego Padres. So,
Mm-hmm.
off the top of my head, I don't know what his deal with the Cubs is. I would assume probably a little like lenient, like probably didn't demand too much money since he's getting $39 million from the Padres. But the Cubs are making some moves. I don't. All right, if I were to have to give my honest opinion, I think these moves that they're making, instead of trying to have success and win, I think they're trying to, have a solid team to bring in fans, make
Mm-hmm.
good money this year. I just realistically, I don't see the Cubs doing anything. So I think they're making these moves for the sake of not being clowned, uh, not being a situation like Baltimore a couple years ago where they have to apologize to their fans. I think they're just staying afloat. That's what I honestly feel like.
Yeah, I see what you're kind of saying there, and I think they're actually going to be a little better than what people expect. They got a good group of veterans and young guys. My only question with them is that starting rotation. Kyle Hendricks is not what he used to be anymore. Um, can't even name anyone else in the rotation, honestly. So I don't know why I honestly brought it up. That's probably why I brought it up actually, because I can't name anyone in it. But um, were you going to say something?
Bring back Edwin Jackson.
Oh my God, if they brought back Edwin Jackson, that would be.
I'm kidding. I'm pretty
But
sure he's
no,
Rich Hill vibes.
yeah, honestly. But Eric Hosmer, he's kind of on the decline of his career. Was very, very good with the Royals, to be honest. Won a World Series there, then went to the Padres. So, kind of underwhelming there, to be honest. Kind of like
Yeah.
Will Myers, to be honest, when they signed him. They kind of expected both of them to be a lot better, but Eric Hosmer has been a solid first baseman for his entire career. Um, like Christian said too, not really sure what his deal is with the Cubs because I know that the Padres are still paying him, but it'd be really interesting to figure out what it is. But I actually think that the Cubs may be kind of sneaky good this year. They may throw some fits for the Brewers and Cardinals. It's just like I said, that pitching is going to be it's going to be decent. They did have a rookie last year. I can't think of his name right now. That was pretty good throughout the entire year, actually. But uh, I think that this will be a solid move for them moving forward. Like Christian said, they're just trying to stay relevant. I just don't think they're trying to be that bottom seller team.
Mm. Yeah. I just gotta ask this. I can't remember the guy's name at all. Was it the pitcher that wears glasses?
No, it's not the guy with the glasses, but I think it wasn't Justin Steele, but Justin Steele is still a solid pitcher for that rotation. But it was Keegan Thompson. He's a
Mm.
really, really good prospect. I remember him pitching against the Braves one time. I think he had I think he had a double-digit strikeout that game. But I remember the first 2 or 3 innings, dude struck out like every single batter, and I was like, okay, this guy's actually pretty good. But I mean, I really like what the Cubs have been doing. They got some solid young people like Christian Morel too. So
Mm.
it's a really really solid team. Just not really something to reckon with, to be honest. I don't see them being in the top 50% of the league.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. But hopefully they exceed expectations. I'd love to see the Cubs doing well. I know they ended
Hmm.
their curse, but it's not like it was like, all right, end the curse and fade back into irrelevancy. Even though that's what they kind of did. I don't.
They kind of did.
Yeah, I just don't want to see it for another 108 years. Even though I probably won't be around for all that. But yeah. Uh, but to move on to another team that has been headlining this offseason a lot, you got the Seattle Mariners picking up real solid piece in AJ Pollock on a 1 year deal. And AJ Pollock is super underrated to me. Him with the Dodgers, he was a beast, and it's just that he was like one of those secondary pieces for them. It's just the Dodgers are that stacked, but AJ Pollock did his thing, and I feel like he's been underrated for some time. He's got solid pop in his bat, and the Mariners, they're making moves. I feel like this is going to be another piece that will impact their success.
Yeah, like Christian said, I really think he's underrated too. With the Dodgers, he had a really solid tenure there. He actually had a really, really good season with the White Sox last year too. He was just hurt
Mm-hmm.
for not majority of it, but he was hurt on and off, and then he didn't finish the season because he was hurt. But this has been a really solid guy. I really, 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 really liked him. He was when he was with Arizona when Paul
Mm-hmm.
Goldschmidt was still there. That's when they were actually a playoff team, and this dude, I mean, if he didn't have that injury in the outfield where he broke his hand diving for a ball that year, he probably would have had his best season ever that year because he was absolutely breaking out that year. But I do like what
Mm-hmm.
Seattle has been doing this offseason. This is another solid outfield piece to them to add along with Teoscar Hernandez and Julio Rodriguez. So should be a pretty solid lineup moving forward. I still think Houston has a slight edge over them, but this is going to be a real good battle for Seattle and Houston throughout this season.
Oh yeah, for sure. And to kind of stay on Seattle for a second, I just want to bring this up to you, Alex. I want to see your thoughts. I love Julio Rodriguez. This man is a beast. Insane rookie season. I don't remember if it was official MLB rankings or somebody else's rankings. Somebody had him as the 12th best player in the league going into this year. And I think that is insane. 12th.
12th? Dude's been
12th
had
best
one
player in the
full
league.
dude's had one full season in the MLB. Nah. I don't even see
No,
him in the
12.
top 25 to be honest.
Yeah,
Maybe
and it's
not
just
even top 50 to be honest. He needs more time for that.
talent wise, he is through the roof. I will not deny that.
If
And
they're
at
going
his age,
off if they're going off potential, I can see it.
yeah. But as of right now, top 12 is they're gassing it. Had to be a Mariners fan who wrote that,
Oh,
whoever it was.
100%. And also, one thing about Julio Rodriguez, I have seen a bunch of hype that he may be the cover person for MLB The Show 2023. So the fans voted and they said they wanted Julio Rodriguez. So we'll see if that's happening here soon. That came out yesterday.
That's dope. Unfortunately, I will not be touching that game.
I will not be either, but for anyone who cares about it,
Yeah. MLB The Show. Yeah, we have our thoughts on that, but we won't talk about it because of
no,
that.
we'll get too mad.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad I stopped playing that game. But to get back on track,
People who aren't mad.
good for y'all. Good for y'all, I guess. But Seattle in the mix. I'm really liking what they're doing. Um, to transition to a team in the NL East. This is who I was foreshadowing earlier. Um, the Boston Red
Boston
Sox.
fans, be happy.
Yeah,
Rejoice.
it's not all bad. It's not all bad this offseason. You guys re-signed Rafael Devers to a long-term deal for 11 years. The Red Sox don't be doing that. They didn't do it for Mookie Betts uh, when Mookie Betts was still at his best. So like I wasn't necessarily thinking that they weren't going to offer Devers anything, but I didn't think they were going to give him something like this because I feel like the Red Sox front office is relatively cheap.
I mean, they're typically, I wouldn't really say cheap, but they're kind of like the Braves. They don't pay too much for players. I will say that I think that they overpaid for the Japanese player that they signed earlier this year. I can't think of his name right now. And not gonna lie, I think this is kind of an overpay too. This is, I think, the fifth largest contract in MLB history, but I just don't think Rafael Devers is worth over 300 million. I know that years wise, this is a pretty good deal since it's 11 years. But I was expecting like a 250 to like 280 for him. I think all these other contracts, especially from those shortstops, have kind of made the market even more. But Rafael Devers the day before actually signed an arbitrate to avoid arbitration. He signed a 1-year, $17.5 million deal. So this just adds on to that. This is
Hmm.
technically 12 years,
40.
348.5 million. So I mean that's kind of a ridiculous contract to be honest if you think about it. But Devers is probably not if one of the best third basemen in baseball. Actually, I'm going to take that back right now because I can think of 4 other guys right now that are better than him.
Four?
Um,
I know three off the dome. Can you tell me the fourth? I know Riley, Arenado, and fuck,
Machado,
Machado. Yeah, those three are better. Who's the
uh,
fourth?
Jose Ramirez, or Bregman. I would put either
Yeah,
one of them, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, those I
I
would
mean,
say both
definitely,
of those are
definitely,
better.
definitely Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say Bregman's better than
Yeah,
Devers.
yeah, just because of the postseason stuff, I like to put Bregman up there. Bregman's not the best regular season player, but when it comes to postseason, he's a different player.
Even then, 2019 Bregman was crazy.
Oh no, it was. It definitely was. But kind of get back on track to Devers. I do like this signing. I know that he does kind of own your Yankees, not your Yankees, but he is the owner of Garrett Cole.
Oh, the father of Garrett Cole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the father of Garrett Cole. So he will have to be seeing him for as long as possible now. But really good signing for Boston. I'm happy for Boston fans that you didn't lose every single one of your star players.
Yeah, I semi agree that it's a slight overpay, but the thing is, I think Devers' ceiling is like one of the
hmm
best players in the world for sure because he's still relatively young. So, and with Devers, yeah, it was just the fact that they needed to lock somebody up, or else it was going to be a complete collapse. So I think if you had to throw a extra few million, got to do what you got to do,
And they
and
definitely had to do that for this.
yeah, especially with their track record. They
hmm
just lost Bogarts. They didn't extend Mookie before he went to the Dodgers, and yeah, this was a must needed move, and I'm glad to see the Red Sox, I guess, kind of stay in relevancy. But yeah, good for them.
Yeah, it's nice to see them staying in relevancy. They're gonna be probably, I wouldn't say a contender this year. They're kind of rebuilding, getting that whole farm system back into place. I know that that whole Betts trade, they completely lost. Jeter Downs is not on that team anymore. There's a couple people in that trade who are not on that team anymore, but yeah,
Hey, Alex
it's
Verdugo though.
he had a solid end
Yeah,
to his year. Solid end to his year.
yeah, he's a
But
solid piece in general, but it's like Mookie Betts.
Jeter Downs is really the big prospect in that, and he didn't pan out at all. So
Mm,
he's now a part of the Washington Nationals organization. I saw that they claimed him, but yeah. Speaking of another shortstop, though, we finally have a team for Carlos Correa. He signed his 3rd deal this offseason, and each one got shorter and shorter in money. But
bro,
Carlos Correa signs a 6-year, $200 million deal with the Minnesota Twins. This can go up to, I think, 8 years for $270 million
mm,
with opt outs. But with all of his physical trouble. They're projecting that he may. I don't even know what they're projecting, to be honest. That his health may deteriorate in his leg, and when he's 33 years old. So that's where this deal ends. But I'm just finally happy to see Carlos Correa finally get his deal passed and his physical passed.
yeah, I feel that this whole fiasco was wild, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I am a little disappointed that he ended up with the Twins.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm not a fan of the Twins, to be honest with you. I don't think they're necessarily in the mix of anything. They got Byron Buxton, who I'm a big fan of, I guess. But
If he can stay healthy.
yeah, exactly. And with Correa, I just kind of feel like these next 6 years are about to be playoffless years, if I'm gonna be honest with you. And Correa is a playoff player. Like
One of the best we've ever seen.
exactly. So I don't know. I much would have preferred to see him go to the Mets,
I
even
wouldn't.
even the Giants, to be honest with you. It's just I'm not big on the Twins at all. So outside of that, though, I'm glad to see him kind of finally sign. But I still have a bunch of questions. That whole thing about projecting when his knee is gonna deteriorate, it makes me wonder if it's like a Kawhi Leonard situation. I know I'm switching up
Mm,
sports right now, but he's got a degenerative issue in his knee. He also coming off of ACL surgery, so he's down bad with the knees. And I feel like this sounds kind of similar with Correa. Um, and I definitely understand teams' concerns. Um, if you have a degenerative knee issue, that just opens the door for injuries easily. Like Kawhi Leonard, for example, he has that issue and partially tore his ACL um,
mhm,
on a play that it didn't even look like it happened. Like it's
mhm.
weird. So with Correa, that kind of raises questions for me for his future because he's still relatively young as well.
Yeah, and this is stemming from a injury or from a surgery he had almost 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from a surgery he had in 2014. So, I mean, that is kinda concerning. And like you said, I'm not really a too big fan of the Minnesota Twins. I don't really see them being relevant, anytime soon. They had a pretty good run, for 2 or 3 years there, but they really fell off the past 2 years. I think, like Christian said, this is gonna be 6 years of playoff-less baseball. That could change, we never know. One signing, one trade, prospects panning out, you never know.
True.
Byron Buxton staying freaking healthy would
Mm-hmm.
be a great first step, for that organization. But, I mean, they traded some pieces away, they've lost some pieces. I know Jose Barrios isn't with them anymore, he was traded to Toronto last year. The all great catcher Gary Sanchez will not be with them anymore. They did not want to re-sign him, so I know not Mets fans, Twins fans are probably happy that they didn't bring him back.
Yeah, Gary. Gary Sanchez, man. I've got my opinions on him, but I'm not even gonna get into it because he's falling off the map. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But regardless of that, Twin signing, they re-signed Correa. Solid for them, in my opinion. Not solid for Correa. He got the bag, sure, but I don't know. I if I was Carlos Correa, I would have kept negotiations open a little longer with the Mets, trying to figure things out with that. But
They stopped talking to him.
oh, they stopped.
Yeah, they stopped talking to him.
Oh, well, yeah,
Kind
no,
of, kind of, kind of like um, San
San,
Francisco pretty much
okay,
ghosted him.
yeah, no, I know San Francisco definitely did that. I thought the Mets were still open to it, but I feel that. Uh, yeah. So I mean, in that case, Carlos Correa did what he had to do and get the bag. Uh, can't knock him.
Can't knock him at all. I mean, that's $200 million for 6 years. I mean, he's only 27 years old right now, so, I mean, he could get another long-term deal. I mean, this dude is about to make a lot of money playing professional baseball, that's all I'm gonna say.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a really solid offseason, and there's still room for other things to happen. I'm really looking forward to seeing how things pan out before we get into spring training.
And the World Baseball Classic. I'm so
Yes.
excited for that because we have a lot planned for that, I can tell you that.
Hmm. Man, Mike Trout in the World Baseball Classic. I just can't wait. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait
But
to see all these superstars in it.
facts. But yeah, this offseason, like I said, it's been a crazy one, and I'm glad as a baseball fan that it has been. Uh, Back when I was following basketball a little more, the off seasons always hit different. So it's like seeing it for baseball, it's a great thing in my opinion.
And that does it for our first baseball video of 2023. I know I've really enjoyed chopping it up with Christian. Video went a little longer than we expected, but that just happens when you got two people who love talking about baseball. But before we get out of here, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on notifications to know that when we post new content. Also, let us know which one of your signings is a favorite from this offseason from your team or just in general. There's been a lot of signings, a lot of trades been going on, so we'd love to hear y'all's opinion.
For sure. And if you guys want, you could also let us know your opinions at our social media pages. You could find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at ATNW Podcast. If you want, you could find my personal Twitter and Instagram at Christian_S52.
If you want, you can find mine at ahandy2215. I want to hear those hot takes that y'all have.
Yes, sir. But as for this episode, it was a great one, and I'm looking forward to the next baseball episode. just looking forward to this season in general. I cannot wait.
Until then,
Peace.
peace.